out of their hands. If you want to take care, you have to make it your own. You have to take it from them. Who is it? It's they. They want to take my care. They hold on to the care, and I have to take it. And that requires vigilance. So I have to be vigilant from them. I have to be vigilant of the enemy and myself. And that's the only way I will improve. That's the principle, right? So 3 of my other rules, I'm going to say them very quickly, and then we'll go on to other things. Never speak evil. That's one of my no's. Never speak evil. Don't say anything that could be mean or hurtful. It is better to be silent than to say a mean thing, even if it's true. Just be silent. There are lots of times in my life when I have to remind myself of this. Never say something evil. Never speak evil. That also means don't tell a lie, right? It means to be honest. Will I ever have a time when I should tell a lie? The answer is no, never. Is there ever a time when it's okay for me to say something mean? No, never. Do I do it? Yeah. Right? I do it. But if I'm honest with myself and if I'm vigilant, I should do it less and less. Right? I should catch myself before. And I should look at all of the things that make me do it when I do speak evil and attack those things. That's what vigilance requires, right? So that's how vigilance equals improvement ties into my never speak evil, right? Never speak evil. Do I fall? Yeah, I falter. It means evil here means a lie. Evil also means deception. It means something that could be hurtful, painful to somebody else. So what do I do if, let's say that I have a child who comes to me and says, hey, am I dumb? And let's just say that that child is dumb. I say, kids make fun of me. They say I'm dumb. Am I really dumb? And I think, oh, don't speak evil. Never speak evil. I got to tell the truth. Does that mean I have to be mean in telling the truth? No, but I should be honest nonetheless, right? Because it is evil to be dishonest. I have defined it that way. So I wouldn't say, no, you're really smart. Those people are stupid. Those people don't know what they're talking about. I might say, well, look, there are lots of different kinds of intelligence, and you don't have this kind. But let's look at some of the other things. And more important than smarts, more important than intelligence is hard work, diligence, right? So it's okay if you're dumb. Just don't be lazy too, right? And you focus them in some other direction. I would rather, and in fact, if I think about what's in their own best interest, to tell a lie is not in their best interest. To make them think there's something they're not in their best interest, right? Will they trust me later if I tell them lies now? No, right? So when it really matters and they wonder, am I telling the truth, but I have falsely complimented them, they're not going to know, right? So never speak evil. That's one of mine, right? Second one, go the extra mile. This one is the hardest one for me, even though never speak evil is hard. Go the extra mile. What that means is anytime, this is how I define it for myself, anytime someone asks me to do something, I will try to find a way to do it, unless it's bad or evil or wrong, and to do it better than what even they are expecting of me. Now, this very quickly becomes almost an impossible task for me, because I don't like being put on by people. I don't like people asking me to do stuff. I don't like being bothered by others, right? Now, it doesn't mean I have to go out actively looking to do the extra mile. It just means when somebody comes to me and asks me to do something, I need to find a way to do it. I need to say yes if I can. I need to go and not just do it, but do better, right? Do the extra mile. I don't do this very well. I do it grudgingly, often, right? You say to me, hey, these quizzes aren't going. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to figure that out, right? But I need to do it and do better, right? Try to fix it for all the future ones. Go the extra mile, right? I am my own worst enemy when it comes to that, right? But that's another one of my rules to live by. I told you I'd give you one more. What time are we looking at? Yeah, I'll give you one more. These, I don't expect you to have the same rules to live by, But, oh yeah, the other one is this. I don't know why I forgot it all of a sudden. Always repay hatred with love. That's my fourth. Always repay hatred with love. I'll give you one example of this morning. It's nice that this happened. So this morning I was coming from school to come here, and then I'll turn around and go back after classes today. And I'm on a motorcycle, and I was turning left at a green light. And the car that was coming at me was going really slow. And there were pedestrians crossing the street, but there was a gap between the pedestrians, and the car wasn't yet there, so I could just zip through, right? So I just zipped through in between these two pedestrians. I got within like a foot. There was plenty of space, maybe 2 feet, with one guy who had a hoodie on and stuff, right? And I got to the stoplight that was just like half a block away from that one. And I'm sitting there at the stoplight just waiting for the light to turn green, and I start hearing some yelling going on. I was like, what? Is that yelling? And so then I turned my head and I looked, and there's this guy standing on the sidewalk screaming at me. I've got a helmet on and headphones and stuff, and so I could hardly hear him, but he's screaming at me. And when I turn to look at him, he goes, "Whoa," and he does like this with his hands, and then he goes, both of his middle fingers at me, and he's screaming. I have no idea what he's saying. He's screaming at me and all this stuff, and I just started laughing at him. Like it was the funniest thing I have seen all morning. It's like, I really ticked him off somehow. He must have been, I figure he must have been one of those guys, walking, and he thought I got too close into his personal space there, and so he must have turned around, ran down the sidewalk, and just so he could give me a piece of his mind, right? So this was a great deal of hatred, right? Repay hatred with love would mean I need to find a way to be kind, to be nice, right? And so I realized, I probably, I don't realize how many people I probably make hate me every day. Because I'm a little bit insensitive to the people around me when I'm riding to and from school. I just look around, and when they're all stopped, like this morning, there was a wreck somewhere on the 94, and all the traffic was backed up all the way down to the 294. It was showing like an hour and a half to get to downtown. I did it in 20 minutes because I just go right in between everybody. How many people do you think probably hate me as a result of that, right? I probably need to think a little bit better about that, because one of them's going to hurt me one day, right? It's probably not in my best interest to have all that hatred out there. So always repay hatred with love. Do I do it? Not always, but in specific ways it comes up this way. Like if somebody gets mad at me and tells me I've done something wrong, I might have a tendency to get my feelings hurt, want to get mad back, right? And if I keep this rule, you're expressing hatred towards me, I need to repay it with love. Always repay hatred with love. If I can make that a habit, it's an action, a way of doing. Now, 2 of these rules are active, 2 of them are passive, right? Always repay hatred with love requires someone else to do something to me first, right? Go the extra mile requires somebody else to do something for me first, right? You have to come and ask me to go with them a mile before I can go the extra mile, right? And I might try to stay hidden from you as much as I can. That's not breaking the rule. Breaking the rule is just, if you catch me, I need to go the extra mile. But I might try to hide from you if I think you're going to ask me to do something. That's not breaking my rule. It's technical here, but that's the way we do things in philosophy. So those 2 are active. 2 of them are passive, right? Passive one is always repay hatred with love. Oh, no, those are the 2 that are passive, I just said, right? The active one is speak no evil, right? And vigilance is the price for improvement, right? Or take care. I have to take it and make it my own, right? Okay, so any questions on that? I'm just giving you examples of rules to live by. You should not think that because I'm giving you these as my rules to live by that I am successful at them. In fact, part of rule number 1, vigilance equals improvement, implies that I will never be done. Right? Improvement is the name of the game, not completion. I don't imagine that will happen. But if I can get good at some of these, then I will trade them for others, right? I'm going to require you to give me 10 rules. I only have 4 that I live by, but I'm going to give you 10. But these 4 give me more than enough to worry about right now. You have to give me 10 because you're still trying them out. I've been doing these things for a long time. So I have the right to distill them into smaller ones, right?
We have to still say thou shalt not.
If you want, you don't have to say it that way, right? They're just things you will always do, things you will not do, right? So I gave you an example of a never. Never speak evil. And I gave you an example of an always. Always repay hatred with love, right? Always go the extra mile. Does that make sense? Now, I've also tried to illustrate to you how I justify them, how I explain them, right? I defined the terms. What is evil? I didn't tell you what speak means. Speak can involve more than just words from my mouth, right? It can also be my activities, my actions, my involvement with others, right? I need to be honest and upfront in the way that I talk to and approach, comport myself, as Heidegger would say, towards the world around me, right? So you have to state your rule, you have to define the key terms in it, and then you have to illustrate how you would live it, right? Similar to what I have just done, right? Giving you examples of it, right? Like in this scenario or in that scenario, right? Just happened to be this morning, this guy was throwing lots of shade at me.
Can you repeat that?
What?
State your rule.
State your rule, define the terms, give examples of how you live it. Defend it against people who would say, oh, you got it wrong. That's not a good rule to live by, right? Say somebody might disagree with me because of this, but here's why they'd be wrong, and I'm right, right? Does that make sense? All right, any questions for me on this? No? Okay.
Any examples, like once we, like you said, principles, be vigilant, take care, then you gave a reason behind that, and that's what we would do.
Yep, exactly.
Then we go to number 2.
You have to explain it. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you may say to me in your final paper, look, all of these things only work based on this principle, which is kind of what I have laid out for you, for myself, right? Like none of these things work unless I'm vigilant, right? And vigilant means what? Overcoming myself, primarily, right? Overcoming my own tendency to not want to do what is right or do what is good. Now, what is right or wrong? It's how I've defined it here. It is wrong to speak evil. I made that for myself, right? And I've defined what that is. And I tend not to want to do that. So the vigilance has to kick in, right? Yeah. Does that help? Does this help you to get some idea of what your paper, where you should be headed towards thinking about your paper? Okay, I'm also going to say this because I want to bring back up Plato's Republic really quickly, right? So Plato, he said all of us have a little daimon or a commie, right? I called it a commie, he didn't. It's a little spirit, right? And that it shapes, and its goal is to get you through this life. The life that you chose for yourself, right? And then you drank from the river Lethe, or you forgot that you did that, and now you're here and you're living it, and you're oftentimes wondering, why? Why me? Why this life? And the answer is you. That's why. And your spirit, your little, it's not a spirit animal, but it's your little commie, right? Is there to tell you or to guide you. But Socrates later in his apology, his moment of just before he was going to die, defending his life, he went on and talked about, he defended his way of living. And he said, you know, I knew, and then they all condemned him to death. And Socrates says, I figured you probably would condemn me to death. But I don't think death is such a bad thing. And the reason I don't think death is such a bad thing is because if it were a bad thing, and if I had been behaving dishonorably, my little daimon would have been telling me so. Because in all of my life, what my daimon does is encourages me to do good, and then just kind of tugs me when I'm doing wrong, but it never forbids me and it never makes me. It just talks to me a little bit. And it doesn't talk to me in language. He said it just encourages me or discourages me. And I have learned to listen to this little guy, and he never steers me wrong. That's what he says, right? So this morning when I was thinking about class and all that we need to do with Heidegger, I just had this feeling that I needed to take today for a few minutes, half an hour or so, and just give you some examples of rules to live by. For whatever reason, and even now as I am explaining that these are the rules to live by, my little commie tells me, yeah, you're on the right track. And this is how I approach teaching. This is why I don't come to class with any great outline already prepared and some PowerPoint that I feel like I have to hit, because I do think that part of being vigilant for me is learning how to listen to my daimon. Now, whether this is a separate thing, an actually existing external being, like a guardian angel that talks to me or not, is none of your business. But that I think of it like that has helped me many times to differentiate between what I should be doing and what I should not be doing. And I genuinely think that Socrates was right. That part of living a good life is learning how to listen to your commie, or your inner daimon. It's very easy not to get it right, though.
Does that like throw off Heidegger? Because from Tuesday I was ended about not having a spirit.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, does that throw it off?
No, but we'll see. Yeah.
I have a spirit.
No, you don't.
Okay.
But don't worry, because Heidegger's not saying you don't have something that goes on where a commie could be a part of it, right? What you have is not a spirit. What you have is care. This is what makes you you. It's not a mind and a body. It's not a soul inside of a body that makes you you. Totally getting it wrong. What you have, and we're going to get to this, what you have is care in a world. What you have is a world. It's a whole lot better than having a mind and a body. Having a world is a really awesome thing. And only Dasein has the worldhood of the world. Other things have an environment, other things live in space, everything else, but Dasein has a world. And that world is so much more interesting and complicated, and can include things like a daimon. Yeah, can be in your world. If it is, and if it isn't, then it isn't. Right? It just depends. Okay, so with all of that.